Welcome back! My name is Baller Scuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1981, and today we're going to talk about Bosconian. The story of Bosconian takes us back to Namco. We have talked about Namco a few times in Video Games Over Time. The most recent time we talked about Namco was in our video on Galaga. There is not a lot of information about the development of Bosconian. It is said that Makoto Sato was in charge of the game's development, Kazuo Kurosu was in charge of programming, and Nobuyuki Onagi was in charge of the music and sound. Makoto Sato is a new name for us, but we have heard of Kazuo Kurosu. He led the programming on Rally X. We have heard of Nobuyuki Onagi before as well. He had worked on the sound for Galaga. Bosconian is an arcade shooter that runs on the Galaga arcade system. The game takes place after a fictional rock war, in which aliens destroyed Earth and enslaved mankind. The humans were able to pool their best technology together to build one ship, the Starfighter. That is what the player will control. The player can move the Starfighter in 8 different directions, while shooting both backwards and forwards. The player will fly through space to defeat the enemy bases, known as base stars. The player must destroy all the base stars in order to make it to the next level. The player will also face asteroids, mines, missiles, enemy ships, and even a spy ship. To help, the player has a radar on the right side of the screen, similar to Rally X. The game also features an alert system, as well as a digitized voice to help keep the player aware of the situation. Namco released Bosconian to arcades in Japan on November 20th, 1981. With the short story of Bosconian told, it's now time to play the game for ourselves. And here we are in the game. This is Bosconian, and it's very plain looking initial title screen, but then it fixes into something a little bit better there. As you can see, released by Namco in 1981, Star Destroyer Bosconian. We can see a very similar screen layout in this game to what we saw in Rally X. That is the radar on the right side of the screen, and there is our Starfighter, and they're showing how to get all the points in the game. I am fairly okay at this game. Once again, shooters are not my forte, but we can see what we can do. The spy ship gives you a mystery amount of points. Once again, though, I'm not necessarily going for a high score. I should be able to get the high score. It's not too difficult to get, but that is not the goal. My goal is progression. So we'll do what we can. There are a couple different ways to destroy the base stars in this game. They showed the one where if the center part kind of opens up and you hit the middle part, it will blow up. The other way is to destroy all 6 cannons on the outside. I'll probably be doing that one more often. But we have talked about the game enough. Let's get into the game. We are going to just do one normal credit and go.
Locked off.
And we get a nice little intro. Lots of good sound in this game, I do have to say.
Alert.
And they are telling us alert. Can I get that? There we go. Try to go for the middle if I can. Like I said, I'm not necessarily after the points total to destroy everything in my path. Just trying to go for progression here. They are saying alert because of the alert condition on the right. So now we're at yellow alert. Okay. There we go. Try to keep an eye on the base stars. Uh-oh, we have a formation attack. Alright, I was able to get them decently there. No, okay. There we go. Trying to get this space star. I believe that it does loop around here. It does.
Alert.
Alright, we're at a yellow alert again. There's that one. And there we go.
Locked on.
Okay. Things are going pretty well for me here. Honestly, the control setup that I have is working very well for me. When I practiced earlier, I had a different... Oh, no! I had a different setup, and it was a little bit harder for me to control. So, this one is much better for me. Now... Come on, there we go. The fact that I can shoot in multiple directions, in the two different directions, is very helpful for me. There's a spy ship! I got some sort of amount of points. Did get the high score already. Like I said, I don't have too much difficulty with that. So I feel like I'm good at the game. But that doesn't necessarily mean much in a lot of games. The initial high scores are not necessarily the mark of being good at the game. There we go. Alright, so we'll see what else I can do. There's a new type of ship for me. I did label them. I think that was E-type that we're up against there. Haven't lost a life yet. I'm playing very defensively, if we're being honest. Until then. I had to say something, didn't I?
Alive.
Alright, there. Just destroy everything that I see if I can, but not necessarily go out of my way to do it. But considering an asteroid got me last time. Right. So what happens a lot of times is that there will be an explosion from destroying the mines. You have to stay out of the explosion as well. Felt like I got in there. There we go.
Alive.
No! Oh, we got it just in time. Like I said, I was getting right in the middle there, and it didn't go, but I think that the middle part does have to be open. You have to hit basically the crystal that they have on the inside.
Alive.
They're after me. Spy ship is coming. Let's go down this way. I think this will lead me where I want to go. Spy ship's after me. Come on. Oh. There we go. Down you go.
Locked on. Alive.
Oh, no. Okay. No. There's just so much coming my way.
Alive.
I feel like they're getting much more particular about where I have to hit the base stars as we continue. Although they are throwing much more at me, so maybe it's just me not being able to get into position because of all the stuff that's coming at me. There we go.
Alive.
Another formation attack, but it goes down. Spy ship down.
Alive.
I'm having a little bit easier time with this than I've had with shooters in the past, but overall, I would say... no, they got me. I do have one more life. Okay, I did get a life at some point. I think at 20,000 and again at 50,000. No. Alright, high score of the day. 59,350. Not the best run that I have had. I feel I could do better. But, that's an overall good run. I think we got one more in me. And then I think that is good. I think I've shown off the game pretty well, though. We'll put on... That was a good score, so we'll put in my actual initials, and we will go again. Yeah, the game, at least this version of the game, does have like a continue feature. So we will be starting at level 5 here. Alright, let's just destroy all the cannons then. If you're not going to give me what I want. Which is complete and utter destruction. I could run into it and destroy it, apparently. We'll go for this one. Okay. I believe I'm a little bit faster than the bullets. Hit it. Okay. Last one. Formation attack coming my way. It takes a lot of focus when they start throwing a whole bunch of things at me in a row. No, they got me again. Yeah, once you start getting up to the higher levels, it's a little bit harder to get the high score. Like I said, I was never really after that, but I'm happy that I was able to get it at least once. That was a short one. We'll do one more. They pretty much start me exactly where I was. Like I said, with a lot of the games that we have been playing out of Japan, Namco is no exception. Jeez. I didn't even see that one coming. We don't have a lot of information about that game. That does not mean about these games. That does not mean that they're bad by any means. It just means that we don't have a lot of information about their development. Okay, there we go. Into question mark. There is one bad thing that I would say about the game's story here. The fact that it's like we're humanity's and Earth's last hope. Because you're gonna die. Like, there's not really a way around it. At some point, you're going to lose and die, and you're humanity's last hope. So, I'm not sure how to take that other than just maybe don't invest all your resources into a single ship. But maybe that's just me reading too much into it. Jeez, let me get a shot in. Okay. Spy ship coming my way there. It starts getting difficult. Just so much coming at you. No, you were at the vertical one. Okay, we'll go for this one up here. The formation coming my way. There it is. Yeah, the cannons are definitely firing more often as well.
Condition led.
Alright, a formation's coming my way somewhere.
Condition led.
They're on to me. I think they're on to me. Jeez. That's getting annoying. No, alright, down I go. Another decent score. Yeah, not enough to get me onto the high score list this time, but when we start at round 5, make it till round 6, it's only a matter of time before it catches up to me. Like I said, if I was better, we could have made it further, but ultimately it's going to be pretty much the same as what we just saw. So that is Bosconian. And now with the game played, let's talk about how the game holds up today. Playing the game today, I do have to say it is fun. I thoroughly enjoyed myself while playing this game. It required a lot of concentration, so I couldn't necessarily fawn over the game while I was playing it, but the game's a lot of fun. This is a game that I think stands out among the shooters of the time, and I think of all the shooters that we have played, this is probably aged the best. This is probably the one that I want to go back to more than any of the other shooters that we have played to this point. I think that there are a few reasons for that. And the story really isn't one of them. I've mentioned it's kind of a weird choice for me personally to have the idea of you playing humanity's last hope and then dying. Like, you're gonna die. It has to happen. It's kind of an odd choice. But the fact that there's a story at all in this game is something novel. It's something that is not always expected in games of this time. The fact that there's a backstory of, well, we've already lost the war and you're our last ditch effort to try to redeem ourselves. That's something that other games at the time didn't have any sort of carryover from the lore or anything like that. So I do appreciate the effort there. I just don't necessarily agree with minor choices here and there. But the gameplay for me is what really stands out when we're talking about me being able to move in all 8 directions, go through a field that's bigger than my screen, right? Actually scroll as I travel. It felt like I was in space because there were objects that were not my enemies. It also felt like I was in a war because they had mines everywhere. They were launching ships at me from these bases. They were shooting missiles at me. It felt like I was accomplishing something as I went through the game. And although other games have screens for you to clear and there's a sense of accomplishment by clearing the screen, I think the sense of going out and defeating an enemy brings much more of a sense of accomplishment than just defeating what's put in front of you. So that's something that adds to the value of this game, and I think it holds up well. I think that of the shooters that we have played, this is the one that stands out the most as something that would appeal to a modern audience. The fact that you can move, there's strategies, there's the ability to shoot in both directions, kind of just seems like a small thing at first, but as you play through the game, you can see that that's integral to your strategy, because you have to dive in and dive out, and you need to be shooting the whole time in order to try to get that base star killed. There's a lot to like about this game. Let's try to break it down into graphics and audio and all that. The graphics, I think, are good. I would say they're about comparable with Galaga. That's good for the time. The sound, I would say, is very good for the time. The alerts that we got, the red alert that we got, that kind of stuff, it does great after some time of hearing it over and over and over again. But the fact that there's a digitized voice and it is clear for the time, it is very clear, I think is also a standout of the time. The rest of the sound is also good. It sounded like explosions. It sounded like lasers being shot. And that, I think, works very well for the time. Like I said, the graphics are good. In terms of replayability, I would say it's pretty high. I don't necessarily personally want to keep on going and see how far I can get. The difficulty spike, the difficulty graph, so to speak, it goes up pretty quickly once you start getting to like level 4 or 5. It does definitely have a difficulty curve that is very steep at certain points. But overall, I would still say that this is a game that I would definitely go back to. And if you are a fan of old school space shooters, this is definitely something to look forward to playing. The radar at first kind of seemed like a little bit of a novelty, something that they just happened to bring forward from Rally X. But I think it is also integral to how this game operates. You need to be able to see where the base stars are. Otherwise, you're just kind of flying around and hoping to come up with an enemy at some point. I would prefer if they also showed the enemies and some of them, mines and asteroids on the radar as well. But the fact that it was there at all is definitely a good thing. So, like I said, overall, this is a game that I would go back to. And if you are a fan of the old school space shooters, this is definitely worth looking at, especially since this is a game that is pretty unknown in modern times. I would say that most people have not heard of Bosconian, even if they're big fans of games like Galaga and Space Invaders. They probably still haven't heard of this game, but it's well worth your attention. And that's my modern take on the game. When Bosconian was released, it was received well by the critics. It was seen as an improvement over the standard arcade shooters. The game proved successful enough to warrant international releases. Midway Games released Bosconian in North America in 1981, and Bosconian was released in Europe in 1981 as well. However, sales of Bosconian did not match the critical reception. The game did not sell well compared to Namco's other shooter of 1981, Galaga. As a result, Namco converted some of the unsold Bosconian cabinets to Galaga cabinets in order to meet demand. As time has gone on, the game has kept its positive status among the critics. Bosconian is seen as being quite impactful and one of the best examples of arcade shooters of the time, although its popularity at the time, especially outside of Japan, was underwhelming. The game would spawn a few ports and a few sequels, but typically only in Japan. Although Bosconian was not a big hit for Namco, Namco would not suffer any significant losses from the game. We will be hearing from Namco again. As for the game's creators, Makoto Sato, Kazuo Kurosu, and Nobuyuki Onagi, all three men would continue working for Namco. Makoto Sato and Kazuo Kurosu would not reach the same level of impact or success, however, and we will not hear from them again. We will, however, hear from Nobuyuki Onagi again, as he would continue to be Namco's standout sound creator. And that will do it for the story of Bosconian for now. My name is Baller Scuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when we start wrapping up 1981.